I think a lot of the talk has been surrounding things that we're concerned with from a local side, and that's who's going to be QB1. Can Fields actually beat out Russ?
Yeah.
What's going on with Russ's calf? How much longer is he going to be limited?
Was it an actual quarterback competition still?
Yeah,
and we
I
got
don't
that
even know.
clarification.
That's the thing.
Coach
Tomlin says
gave
yes.
it to you.
Tomlin says yes. I don't believe him for a second.
What? Come on, Deke. Why you
I
doing
truly
it?
don't.
Come on, Deke. Don't do that.
I think
The
Russ is going to be
man
QB1 week 1.
Said it's
No
a
matter how Fields does.
competition.
I don't believe him for a second.
So what makes you feel like that? Let me hear it.
I think Tomlin's got a certain amount of respect for Russ and is going to lean on his veteran savvy. And I don't think he's in a rush to see Fields, at least week 1.
Okay.
If things change throughout the regular season and Russ ain't looking good, offense is looking shaky for a month or so, then I think he'll be more open and probably put in Fields. I think that's when he'll be most likely to make that move. But going into week 1, I just don't think he's stressing. I think he's going to lean on Russ with that veteran stuff, especially given, too, we were without Ben these last 2 years. Like, he got to witness a world at quarterback with Mitch, Kenny, and Mason, and a lot of uncertainty there, where I think Russ provides some sort of comfort to Tomlin. Even if, and that's the weird part, it's even if he misses half this preseason and is limited for a lot of training camp and stuff, I think Tomlin's pretty set right now. I think maybe he's a little open to Fields, but I don't think the door's that far open.
Does that mean that it's not a competition, though, because the door is not far open?
My money is on Russ being QB1 for week 1.
I mean, money and odds are a different conversation. We're saying just the simple part of, does that mean that it is not a competition?
I just don't believe him.
Okay. So I look at it like this. This is definitely a competition, but at the same time, I think Coach Tomlin, along with a lot of guys that have, been around it a long time, they're not going to put this gross over, almost like a over stamp of, man, what Fields has done in training camp and OTAs is just so great that everything we've seen Russ actually do in real NFL games postseason and even just last year, we're seeing that this span of plays in a couple of weeks is more than that. I just think for Coach Tomlin and a lot of other people, look at it like, this is exciting. This is cool. Keep it up. Keep going. But Russ isn't graded based off of what he's doing in practice like that. We judge Russ off what he's going to do when week 1 hits and going forward. So for Fields, you got to look great. Not just in practice. You better look great in these preseason games too. Because you know what they're going to say when you do well in the preseason games is the preseason. Was all the guys out there? Who's starting? I know at least in this game, the Texans know how they starters out. Or starters out there in the game. We're not even playing our starters. So that's the part where you're like, yeah, you better look good. We don't care about excuses. If you want Russ, if you think you better than Russ, you can start week 1, you better make it look like that every single time you go out there. Because this isn't the Kenny and Mitch thing, man. Mitch wasn't to that point where we talking Russ, man. Russ got a ring on his finger, man. Russ done that. Russ done things that Fields dreams of doing. So I just think for Coach T, he looking at it as, man, Fields, you have a ton of ground to make up. And that's even what he said when he was talking. He said, man, look, this gives him a chance to close some ground. Because practice is one thing. When those lights come on, it's totally different in preseason compared to regular season, as we even saw just last year. And you think about it. Just this offseason, you were conflicted about who you thought was the better quarterback between Kenny Pickett and Justin Fields. It is like, man, we going from that to before we even play a game. Yeah, man, he could beat that. He could catch up the rest already. He could beat him. I was like, I just think for Coach T, he's like, man, I respect what Russ has done because we've all experienced pre-Ben versus post-Ben, and we could all agree is not so just guaranteed that you can come here and thrive. Or you're going to come here and play at a high level, or you're going to come here and play consistently. We're going to win, but we might win in spite of you versus because of you. And I just think for Coach Tomlin, man, he ain't in no rush to get rid of the dude that has already proven what he could do. But I don't think it means it's not a competition. I just think that for Fields, he has a ton of ground that he's gonna have to
that's what I was
overcome.
gonna say.
Yeah.
It's just semantics. Then I don't think there's anything Fields is gonna do in this offseason to have Tomlin move off of Russ like that.
No.
That's just my thought on it. I mean, and I don't think it's a wrong way to go about it either.
No.
It just feels like to me that what Fields is doing in this training camp period, and potentially in preseason, because we still got to see him. It's an ongoing thing. Yeah. If he balls out in preseason, we already know what he's been doing in training camp, and like the electricity that he brings, like
it's exciting.
I feel
it's
like
new.
that shouldn't mean nothing though.
No one said it didn't mean nothing, but we're saying does that weigh
especially
more
with
than
with them both being on a new team here?
Does that weigh?
It's
more,
not like Russ has been here for 5 years.
But does that weigh more than what we just saw from both of these guys in stadium last season? It's not like Fields didn't play last year. It's not like Russ didn't play last year. It's like they both weren't in great situations. One still played better than the other one.
Well, that's what I mean. I mean, they're in a way coming in here on similar terms.
See, I think that's where we differ. You think that are similar terms. I think that Russ comes in with a resume that is going to naturally put him above Fields.
I'm saying both their teams moved off, and they're kind of like on this. Fields not necessarily on the last leg of his career, but Fields in this prove-it point to be a franchise quarterback. Russ on the last leg of his career.
Yeah,
like
just because the age part of it.
Yeah, they're in this like chip on the shoulder stage of things like both of them. Obviously.
I'm with you on that too.
Russ a little bit older, Fields younger, but they're both here for a reason.
Yeah, and I'm with you. And we're excited about both of them being here also for a reason. But I think both of the excitements for each player is a little bit different. Fields, we haven't viewed him as this consistent quarterback throughout his career. That's the big reason why you specifically weren't pro Justin Fields bringing him here while we had Kenny. Because he has not showed that. Whereas with Russ, he has already shown certain things. So that's the part where I just think that for Fields.
Yeah, I didn't want to give up a high pick for Fields.
Right. I think for Fields, everything that you've said, it can't change just because now he's here. It's like, nah, he still has ground to catch up on because he has not proven anything to that Russ has proven. So how can they just be equal because he's here and he has a couple of good weeks in training camp?
Well, sometimes you got to take that risk. Like Fields with the talent and stuff, the coaches can look at it and say, we can make this flourish here.
Respect.
Like we saw what happened out in Chicago, and we're going to blame Chicago for that. Chicago didn't put him in a good spot. He really didn't have that good of weapons or that good of a defense until his most recent season. And that's where he started to get a little bit better because before that, he didn't have as much around him.
And if you think Arthur Smith has said that.
And so that's what I mean. Sometimes you do got to take that risk. But I don't think the Steelers need to be in the rush to make that decision right now or take that risk right now. You can wait and see how things look with Russ the first month of the season.
I just think that you look at if he's that started week, whether there wasn't a competition. I think that there is still a competition. I just think that one just has a ton of ground to cover. But you listen to Arthur Smith talk about Justin Fields. He's not talking about Justin Fields like he doesn't like him or that he doesn't think he can win or start in this league. They talked about him. He's dangerous. He's a weapon, this and that. You've heard Coach Tomlin talk about him. Coach Tomlin just reiterated it is a competition. So that's the part where I'm just like,
I don't see where you like. But that's the thing. If I think Russ is going to be QB1 week 1 no matter what, then in a way I am saying, I don't think it's a competition.
Okay.
Because if the ground's that much that Fields has to do all these things to make it up.
Do you feel like the ground should not be that much is what I'm asking you?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it doesn't really bother me either way. But
it seemed like it does, though.
For me, no, I'm interested in Fields has definitely intrigued me this offseason.
Okay.
To the point where I am going against my better judgment or what I traditionally believe and would be willing to give him a chance to be the starter week 1. Yeah. But I think if you just start Russ no matter what, I think that's a fine answer too. I think it's a fine answer. I guess part of me is thinking about just like what this ceiling could be with Fields and not only now, but like long term and everything. And it's like, man, could be really interesting. Especially if we bring in Ayuk, man, Fields with the rushing, but that could really stress out a defense.
No, respect, man.
The stuff that concerns me with Fields, the third and fourth quarter stuff he was putting out there with the Bears, whereas Russ, he's the opposite. He's Mr. Clutch. He's one of those guys that's got a dog in him. Anytime you're down, whatever, I mean, any amount of points, like there's a chance he's going to will his team to come back.
Yeah.
Like, that's his MO. I've seen it time in and time again. They're down 14 points fourth quarter. Wow, Seahawks won somehow. Russ ended up with 300 yards passing and 3 touchdowns. I guess, that's the type of dude Russ is. What he's proven throughout his career.
Time again. Yeah.
Yeah, for me personally, I would be open to starting Fields week 1. I don't think that's the vibe from Tomlin, though. I don't think it is. And I don't think it's the wrong answer. It's just not as exciting of a preseason for me.
Fair enough. I can understand that in terms of it not being exciting.
And that's fine. I mean, I don't really, like, deep down as a fan and wanting the Steelers to win games, I don't care about exciting preseasons.
No.
Because when Ben was here, we had no exciting preseasons at all.
Nope.
These last 3 years, we got all this quarterback talk and quarterback uncertainty. These preseasons have been electric. They've been unbelievable.
That's a fact, man. That is a fact.
That doesn't necessarily bode well for regular. That doesn't mean, or it doesn't have a direct correlation to how your regular season is going to go.
Respect.
Typically, boring preseason, boring off seasons bode well for good regular seasons. Typically, I'd say.
We usually have boring, and then the Ravens are didn't their streak end last year? They're like undefeated preseason, like 5 years, something like that. I feel like that joint ended. So yeah. But those are the constants, man, when it's preseason, man. We stay chill over here. Let the other teams focus on it. I think Cleveland be going undefeated in the preseason, too. You know how it is, man. But, yeah. Shout out to Russ, though. Shout out to Fields. Both of these dudes are in great positions, though. I think for Russ, his position fades fast. The longer he's not out there, the more it fades. Now, that changed this week because we've known that he has been out there. His uptick in reps has been up. They talked about him splitting reps in practice with him just a day ago. So we're already seeing that part. For Fields, though, the game is going to matter a lot more. So I think for him, he has to be eager for that. But for us, he's excited about the fact that he finally gets to come back out here because we know how it works with fans. If you don't see it enough and something looks cool and it's new and it's exciting, you can easily be swayed in that direction. I think for us, he hears that. He's going to be ready to remind everybody of what he's capable of also, man. But I think for us, either way, it's going to be a great position because you want quarterbacks that can ball, man. Whether it's the young quarterback that can ball or the proven vet that can ball. You just want somebody out there that's going to give you consistency because that's what we've been lacking the most at that position because we got everything else, at least on paper, around those players.
Yeah, I view this as similar to the Mitch and Kenny competition. Kenny's rookie year. I don't think Kenny was beating out Mitch throughout the course of preseason and training camp or anything. Like, they were always going to go with Mitch week 1, especially because Mitch didn't do anything bad or do anything to lose the job throughout.
He was a rookie, though.
Yeah, but I'm just saying I view it similarly. Like, I think Tomlin, no matter what, was going to go with Mitch the first however many games, and I think it's going to be similar here with Russ.